Good afternoon, Adnan. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. So let me introduce Adnan. Adnan Ali is a sales director with more than 3 years working in Reportage developers. Reportage is one of the top 10 developers in UAE with a lot of investment and portfolio in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and different Emirates. We are going to have Adnan's brain with us now to answer all the questions which people have about Reportage. So Adnan, we'll start with you about the Reportage story. How did Reportage Properties grow into one of the region's fastest growing developers?
Thank you, Hammad, for having me. I think Reportage has basically, over the years, been consistent. We've been here more than a decade now. And the consistency has played a big role in what we have become over these years. We came up with a specific set of philosophies for the clients. And I think we've been consistent with our word, and that has helped us to grow in the market.
Amazing. What vision drives the company today?
The company, as I told you, still drives on the original vision that we built, and that was accessibility. We've been a developer that makes it more accessible for people to own their own home in this country, a place where a majority of the expats still rent today. I think we've been one of the major drivers that has helped people to buy their own home and settle in that regard.
Just I will add on top of that, Reportage was the first developer or one of the first developer who came up with this payment plan for 20-80 payment plan, where 20% you have to pay in construction and then the remaining 80% was on handover. This was an ideal situation for people like me who do not have a lot of, I could just pay 20% now and then 80% at the time of handover, I can just go to the bank and get the mortgage. So who came up with that idea of 20-80 payment plan?
I think the history of the company is a 3-hour lesson that you and your clients come and meet me in person. I think we can do that. But if you look at the stakeholders in the organization who founded the company, they're all some of the highest level of business acumen in the Abu Dhabi's business circle. And these are people coming out as bankers, real estate experts, and those people have invested into this dream and vision. And it is basically their brainchild. The chairman, the MD and CEO is their brainchild that has taken the shape.
I will also add, for people who do not know, Reportage is not only in UAE, Reportage is around the world. I have seen their properties in USA, I have seen their properties in Pakistan, and I have seen their properties in UK and other parts of the world as well. Just from this background, like in 10 years, you guys started in Abu Dhabi and then you went around the globe. What was the vision behind this?
So again, same thing. Since we focus on customer first approach with our products and when we're designing products, right, that has helped us to be accepted not just in the UAE market, in fact in very different contrasting markets such as the Americas, in the Europe. We already have a project in France. We've established a big set of projects throughout Africa. We're just getting started with subcontinent, with Pakistan. Hopefully we'll be going to India very soon. So I think because the core philosophy is about the customer first, whatever the market, could be a mature market, it could be a nascent market, everyone's accepting it and taking it in a good way.
Okay, now you guys are the one who's making the ownership more accessible. How do your payment plans support first-time buyers and investors? I know I have already given you my example, but I want to know more for people who are listening. How does it work?
When you talk about payment plans, see, Reportage was, when we started, we found that there is a niche where people who are just getting started or who are never yet started, right? The core mentality of people renting in this country is they think that Dubai is already overpriced and they can't really afford it. But when you look at the economics of real estate, right, the one thing that people mostly ignore, especially new buyers, is cash flow. And you might not have enough in the bank, but you could still be good with your cash flows. And people generally in Dubai over the last 10 years have become more financially educated. And this helps them to save in the right sense. And that whole concept, which was not there in this country earlier, has become much better. And Dubai government has supported to put out that knowledge also throughout the demographics. And I think now people are more concerned about managing their cash flow in the right sense. And so if a client has only 100, 200, 300,000 dirhams at hand, they think they cannot afford a townhouse or an apartment anymore, because even a 1% on a 2 million property is a good 20,000 dirhams a month, right? But that is where we bring out our flexible payment plans. And the other developers, when they launch projects, they have a fixed payment plan which suits the project, not the client. But we have a range of payment plans, and all of them differ in the cash flow. So somebody could have more cash saved up front, but they could not be able to spare money from their monthly salary. Somebody else could not have anything up front, and he wants to start into the real estate business, and he has a good set of savings coming in every month from the salary, right? So all those different kinds of clients we cater to.
I will tell you something about their payment plan, because I remember a few days back I asked you for the sheet and you sent me a very complex sheet which I had to give it to my AI to understand and then reply back to me in answers. So, but the thing which I really appreciated and I loved was that the sheet had so many like sub branches and branches, which was telling me that how much flexible it is with Reportage. So now when I gave that to my AI and I started asking, I asked questions to my own AI that, okay, give me a payment plan which is flexible. You will be surprised that every client requirement, Reportage is coming as one option, because the payment plan is so flexible. I asked, give me 0% down payment. It gave me Reportage. I asked, give me something with high discount. It gave me Reportage. I asked, give me something with low monthly installment. It gave me Reportage. I asked them, give me something which does not have any installment in the construction period. I just pay now and then I pay the remaining on handover. It again gave me Reportage.
Yes.
So with this much variety of payment plan,
Yes.
what kind of buyers are you seeing coming to you right now?
So again, you rightly said so. I call myself the subway of real estate. I usually tell my partners like yourself, if you have clients who are facing difficulty buying a property because the other developers are just very aggressive with their payment plans, you always should bring them to us. We are so much flexible that at some point I will ask the client to just put down what he can afford on a piece of paper, and we'll work from there. So yes, it is very flexible, and indeed there are a lot of clients right now who basically were quiet in the last 4 years because they thought the market had already gone sky high and they were late and they could not afford it anymore. These are the kind of people, I call them other people's accountants. These are mostly people who have been managing other people's money, and they've been doing investments for their bosses, but they could not come up with the idea that they could also afford it.
True.
These are the people who now thought that maybe the market has slowed down a bit and it's maturing, so this is the right time to buy, and they came out. And what they've realized again is that even if you cannot afford anything else on the market, I think Reportage will make a way, because we're customer first, that we will make it happen for you somehow.
Okay, and just to add to this, what I want to tell people who are listening is, this is not something like these guys are twisting or changing in the policy. These are the set policies for the company. The only thing is they're just going and picking it up, which one is the right one for you. As he said, the company is always customer first oriented company. That is how this payment plan tells us. Now, I have more questions for you. How do you balance affordability with long-term value?
Very good question. The thing is, people generally have a misconception that affordability and quality do not match. And that's not appropriate, because if you really look at a property or a real estate investment in a long-term approach, right, it's not just about buying today and selling tomorrow with big buck. Real estate is not a flipping business. A flipping business could be a part of real estate, but real estate is not just that. It's a big industry, right? So at this point of time, if you look at our projects, right, affordability is achieved through what I call smart engineering or smart design, right? We use the most efficient layouts, the most efficient building construction techniques, and that all together helps us achieve a very attractive target price that people can also call affordable, but then that does not have to be cheap.
Okay. Why are family-oriented communities becoming increasingly popular in Dubai, and what is Reportage doing about it?
So when we entered Dubai in around 2018 and 19, I think this was the time that the leaders had realized that Dubai will be moving, and indeed it did after COVID. But we realized that people think of lifestyle as a compulsory objective. I don't think luxury lifestyle is something that's a compulsory essential in any other part of the world, even first world countries. But in a place like Dubai, I think lifestyle is an essential checklist item when you're buying a home. Lifestyle, community living, whether this is parks for you to have a healthy lifestyle, or whether this is schools next to your community, walkability to the retail, I think these are all things that matter to people in this part of the world. Even though in Abu Dhabi we focus mostly on waterfront apartments and high rises, but in Dubai the concept is completely different. And this is the reason why over the last 7 years we've come up with 6 gated communities in Dubai, because that is where the essential value is in Dubai.
Okay. What features do today's buyer value the most? You have been meeting a lot of buyers. What do you think are the features which they really value?
Again, as I told you, I think a community lifestyle is pretty much the top of the list item when it comes to buyers. Buyers are willing to tighten their budgets just to get the best options in terms of what is good for the family, what is good for their health, what is good for the children. A client would probably spend extra money over his budget just to be able to afford an apartment or a house that's walking distance to his favorite coffee shop. I think these are things you don't see anywhere else in the world, but in Dubai, yes, these things do matter to clients.
What is that one question you wish that every investor or a buyer asks you in a meeting?
I really wish investors start asking this question more often. Not that what will make them the most money, but rather what will actually suit their requirement more. Right. Unfortunately, a lot of the people coming into the Dubai market, they chase after the short-term returns. But if you ask me, I think real estate in itself is at least a decade-long tenure for an investment to look at. And I think that's the biggest change I've also seen generally over the last 5 years, that people have now started looking at real estate investments in this country as more of a long-term vision rather than just a short-term clip.
I will add, because I am dealing with a lot of Indian and British clients, and now when we are telling them that we can flip at handover, they stop us there. They said, no, we don't want to flip at handover. Tell us after handover, 5 years down the line, yes, what do you think about it? So that is a huge shift I have seen between these two nationalities, that now handover flipping is no more required. They ask us what do you expect would be the rental there?
Yes.
So we answer that, and then they say, okay, 5 years down the line, the maintenance, the service charges, and what do you think will be the value after 5 years of handover? So what we are talking about is somewhere between 9 to 8 years down the line. Obviously, if he's saying 5 years, that means he's going to start advertising to sell in that after 5 years period, and he's not going to be like exit on the spot. He's going to wait and he's going to get the best value and then sell. So what you are saying about 10 years, people have already started looking into this range now. What is the biggest misconceptions buyers have about Reportage?
Again, the same thing that I spoke about earlier. I think buyers tend to consider affordability as something that lacks quality, but in my opinion, I don't think that these two should be competing each other. Reportage does focus a lot on the efficient construction and efficient design of the projects, and that really enables us to make use of the maximum amount of construction quality that we can make use of. So our projects, even though people think that if it's a lower price point, that might just be the most basic level construction, I think people, now that we are delivering projects and we're handing over projects across Dubai over the next 2 years, in fact, just cutting away for a minute, over the next 2 years we are handing over 4,500 townhouses in Dubai. So I think because that's already begun, people have started seeing the actual finished products, and I think that misconception is now going away.
I 100% agree with you. When your sales office was moved from Business Bay to when I met you and I told you that this is one of the best things you guys have done, is because before the meeting was done in Business Bay, and then when we used to go to most of the clients, we want to show them that look, Verdana 1 is ready to hand over, Verdana 2 is already in the pipeline. So now when they are into your sales gallery, just outside the window, they can see all those units which are ready for handover,
Yeah.
and that gives them more confidence.
Yeah.
Plus the mechanism which you guys have, we can take them to see the unit.
Yes.
That gives them more and more confidence.
Yes. In fact, adding here, I would actually invite all your clients to book an appointment with you at our Reportage Village Showvilla. I think you'd be surprised at what we're delivering at the price that we sold it at a couple of years back.
Amazing. Who is the ideal buyer for a reportage development?
I think an ideal buyer is pretty much anyone who's looking at the long-term vision of the investment. So could be an end user who's looking for a home for his family, for his children to grow into, or it could be someone, an investor who's looking at the best home he could rent out to a family and maybe have that family live there for over the next 10 years without ever moving out. I think those are the kind of clients that really should be buying it, looking at a reportage.
Buyer may be better suited to another investment strategy rather than reportage.
I think there are still a lot of people on the market who have their goals aligned towards short-term returns and short-term flips on in the property. These are the kind of people who really only play on the market sentiment of new launches and those kind of people, but not reportage.
What risk should every investor understand before buying an off-plan with reportage?
See, when it comes to risks about off-plan, I think it's pretty much the same worldwide, and off-plan is really looked at very differently in different parts of the world. I usually joke with my clients, you've got people in Europe where developers do not sell off-plan. They pretty much take the smallest amount, which is like an token of interest, and then they take the payment after handover. And people don't prefer paying developers upfront. And then you have cases like Pakistan and India where literally invitations to the property launch events to buy a property get sold at premiums. So it really is a very different model in different parts of the world, and people have different level of trust to the off-plan segment. But at the same time, in Dubai, an off-plan property, the off-plan market is so well regulated by the Dubai Land Department or ADREC or anybody else. The government has regulated it so well that a developer practically puts most of the construction money upfront before launching. And that only means people say developer is going to run away, and ask them, what reason does he have to run away?
True.
And not just Reportage or any big developer or even a small developer, right? If he's putting up his own money just to construct the building, let's say the market slows down, God forbid some event happens and the market slows down, what's eventually going to happen is the developer has construction money of his own set into the escrow for the next year and a half, 2 years. So he can practically build the building up to 75-80% without any sales. So he doesn't need people's money to build. And what that eventually does is when the building is already up, the glass is going up, people are going to be willing to pay more than he's selling it for today. So he's going to make up for the loss of time as well in premiums. So developers have no interest in running away. Even if the property doesn't sell, they'll be happy to keep going and construct. So I think the whole risk of off-plan that generally exists worldwide has been managed pretty well by the government here.
Okay. If you could give every investor one piece of advice before purchasing, what would that be?
I think investors here have become pretty mature now, but I would still say that you should look at not just the price per square foot or the payment plan or the price that you're buying at, but you should really look at who the developer is and what their standing is, right? Who are the people behind the vision? I think that long-term understanding of the vision of the developer is important. You could be a multi-billion-dollar developer and you don't have the vision to survive the next 10 years, and then you could be someone with very small capital starting with one building in one area of a certain part of the city, but then you could have the vision to develop this business and this property into something good, right? So I think it really the only thing that you should be looking at is the vision behind the developer that matters to the investors.
Okay, looking ahead, how do you see Dubai and Abu Dhabi evolving over the next 10 years?
I think Dubai and Abu Dhabi, because Reportage actually specializes on both sides, so we know this better than most, is that they're both very different markets. Dubai really is a global hub for diversity. Abu Dhabi's investment is more stable. I think the development happening there is more planned, and they're both on equal grounds when it comes to attractiveness. I would always say that if you're going to make one investment, might as well split it into two smaller investments, put one in Dubai, one in Abu Dhabi.
Good. Which emerging location excites you the most by Reportage?
I think location is one feature of Reportage that people don't talk much about. I think payment plans and discounts and pricing is one very famous thing that we're known for, but people don't realize how good Reportage is with locations. The management just does not compromise when it comes to location. We could be getting the best deal on a plot that's not in a good location, that company will not go for it. And I think that serves us well, because if you look at Reportage's projects in Dubai, for example, all of them are north of east side, so we're still fairly close to the city, fairly close to the amenities. Verdana, for example, where we have our office now, excites me a lot because I've had a big belief on that project since long. I think people are now getting to see it because the project is taking shape.
Yes.
But even 2 years ago, when there was not enough to show to people, I had my belief on that. And that project alone, because it's a family gated community, it sits between 6 schools of pretty much every curriculum from the world.
Yes.
And there's still 2 more to come. So you'll be sitting within walking distance or driving distance of 8 major schools of the city, right? I think that excites me a lot.
And then you have an MC there, which is like expanding like anything.
Yes.
I have been to an MC multiple times because of I used to live in that area and my doctor was working there.
Yeah.
So I have seen it'll only grow in that area, plus metro is there and near to the airport as well.
NMC is now 2 buildings with 2 branches with 3 buildings just in DIP.
Just within DIP, yes.
And we've got another Moroccan brand, which is like the Astor of Morocco. They're coming up now and they're building a hospital right within Verdana. That's the construction.
That's going to be amazing. How is Reportage preparing for the next generation of buyers, especially the Gen Zs?
I know Gen Zs are a very unpredictable sort of generation, but I think the company is already discussing that. Part of that is the stakeholders' own children are now getting involved in the business.
Yes.
So I think that's where the move is coming from. The company is now also diversifying into the luxury and ultra luxury segment that really focuses on amenities at a different level. We're talking private islands, private beaches, private yacht marinas across the world. So the reason company is catering to that is because when a branch of the company is focusing on ultra high-end properties, right, that somehow trickles down into good quality construction for even our most affordable projects, right? So I think the company is really experimenting there because that will drive the future of the real estate with the new generation.
See, our generation, you and me, which were in 80s, the generation before us, they used to have this chit funds, which they used to put money, collect money all together. We know how chit fund work. Everybody's going to put in something every month and then one of them is going to get it every month.
Yeah.
Like one person gets it one time and then you keep on putting it. So what I am doing with Gen Z now is whenever a Gen Z client comes to me, I know they are not into chit fund. They consider this as a very old school, old method way of increasing wealth. So I tell them that, you know what, let's go to buy a property, which is just like a chit fund. So you don't have to pay much. You just pay 1% per month. And at any given point, when you want to cash out, we will cash you out. So as long as you can keep on paying 1% for the next, let's say 100 months, which is around 8 years, you get a property. So you have 2 options at that time. Either you sell that property and you get all the funds, or you move into that property, or you rent it out, or whatever you do. This combination between this chit fund and this Gen Z generation is working very well for me, to be honest, because I have a lot of clients who have started getting interested in this. They like the concept because as a chit fund, you have to give this money to somebody else. But whereas if you're putting it into the property, it is not going to somebody else, it is going towards their own property.
Yeah.
The concept they really like is you can cash out anytime you want. So I told them whenever you want to cash out, you have to give me 3 months notice and I will get your property sold out at whatever fair value at that point is. and then the person who is going to buy it will take it. So Gen Z concept, that's why I asked you this question.
I
That
find
how are
it funny
you?
because me and you and all of the people from our generation, we were brought up with the core principle of savings.
Yes.
By our parents, and
Yes.
I like it how you've given that a shape where Gen Z is finding it as a new thing.
It's a new thing.
They're always fond of new things.
Yes, because what they don't want to do is if you talk to them about mutual funds, savings, is this, they get bored from it. What they want to do is they want to do something new, something happening. So I came up with this idea and I started pitching this to Gen Zs that it's a chit fund which gets you a property. And whenever you want to exit, everything is in your control. You just give me a call and we'll get you exited. So it works very well. Now we will do a quick fire round. You can say a little bit about it, but try to keep it short. Apartments or townhouses?
I think both of them, as long as they're in a gated community.
Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
Again, split this investment into two.
Okay. Rental yield or capital appreciation?
I think it should be fairly balanced. One cannot survive on one.
Okay. One word that describes Reportage.
Accessibility.
One word that describes Dubai in 2035. Inspirational. Last closing question. If a close family member come to you today with AED 2 million dirhams to invest in UAE real estate, based purely on their long-term interest, what advice would you generally give them?
I think if my own brother came into me and came up with 2 million dirhams and said, I'd like to buy something, I would first understand what his requirement really is. Because there's a lot of questioning that goes on there before even the client himself realizes what he wants out of the investment. And only then I would suggest them, and then I would decide what product to choose for them.
Okay, and if it is only in Reportage?
If it's only in Reportage, then I would probably, I think this is the third time I'm saying this, but I think I would tell them to split in between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They're both very good markets and they're both going very different directions, and they're going to both take over the...
Okay, tell us which project in Dubai and which project in Abu Dhabi. I want you to name one project. So 1 million in Dubai, 1 million in Abu Dhabi. Tell us the names.
Okay, so in Dubai, I think Verdana again really is the most underestimated property that exists available for sale right now. And people don't realize this, but one day they will find this video, it will be handed over, and they'll come back to the video and say this guy was right. But I think you make money on an investment when you buy something that's an underdog, or that's the undervalued one, right? So it will deliver on good value for sure, Verdana. And in Abu Dhabi, I think we're coming up with a big surprise in September. I will not tell you much about it, but we're coming up with a beautiful master plan place, and I think that will be one very good investment in Abu Dhabi for a long time.
By the way, I know what that investment is. So if anybody wants to know, just give me a call and I'll tell you what it is. Okay, Adnan, thank you so much for coming. And I just want to tell everybody, if somebody is facing any kind of issues with the Reportage developer in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, contact us. We will try to solve your problem with Adnan. But as we said, we cannot promise that every problem can be solved because it's a big company with a lot of projects. But we will try to do our best. So DM us and let us know what is the problem you are facing, or if there is something you want the management to know, we will try our best to get it done. For others, if you are looking for an investment strategy, just send us a message and we are going to send you a docket, and going forward we are going to connect with you. Adnan, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Hammad.